Hello, everyone, to another episode of Haraami United. Hope you enjoyed that intro. Boys, welcome back again. Afsar, Aki, you doing all right?
I'm good,
Yeah, I'm
but
good, man.
I think we've got someone a bit more important with us today.
We have, you know what, I don't want to call him a special guest because obviously this gentleman, no intro needed. Riz, how you doing?
I'm good, boys. How are you, boys? You well?
Yeah, man, not bad, not bad. Obviously,
Just,
it's been
uh,
a
just counting down the days.
yeah, it's been a bit while, Riz. Obviously, we know the situation within the Munde camp, but how's your
Yeah.
mum?
Same, mate. To be honest, we're in a situation where we just got to go with the flow, unfortunately. And that day was just terrible, man. It just signified to me the terrible state of the NHS, man. So my mum, I think I said this in my tweet, so I'll repeat it. She's terminal cancer patient, dementia, right? Early onset of dementia. She's fallen at home, hit her head, blood pouring out. 16 hours for an ambulance to come out. We can't take her to hospital because she can't get out of bed. She's not mobile. There's a hospital bed there. So it's not as if we could have taken her. She can't walk. You can't take her out to A&E. You have to wait for the ambulance to come. That's the only option. 16 hours. 16 hours, man. That's the state that this conservative government's got our country in, man. But
Yeah, look,
anyway, you know,
yeah, no, sorry to hear that, but you know what it is. I said something's a lot more important than football, and like I said, within the Brown Under camp, we know it's been 24/7 for you for the last however many months, man. Like I said, I know
yeah,
that's been a big bearing on your private life, but you know what? I mean, we're always grateful that you're here with us as well. And you know what, boys, before we do continue, um. I also want to give a shout out to Shabby Steve of the 1958. I was in a space a couple of days ago, and he was in there, and he was talking about his mum as well, and out in Spain. I don't think she's too well either. So, Shabby, I think
yeah.
everyone from the Brown Monday, hope she's okay and the family's doing well because, like I said, whatever our opinions are on football and things like that, nothing's more important than family. So, yeah, hopefully she's doing well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Steve,
best wishes, man.
all our prayers, all our thoughts are with you and your mum, man. We're with you. We're
100%.
one. We're united when it comes to things like that. Family above anything else, man. So we're all with you.
100%, 100%. Okay, boys, moving on with the show. Riz, I know it's been a while, so I'm just gonna ask you the question:
Yeah,
can you be Glazers out and then Sir Jim Ratcliffe in?
no, it's the simple answer. Look, if Sir Jim Ratcliffe's buying 100% of Manchester United, yeah, absolutely, it can be. But he's not. Is that's not the deal that potentially or reportedly on the table is 25%. 25% doesn't give you jack, and I think people are deluded if they think that's a good deal, right? I see on the table some people are massive with Glazer out, and rightly so, because that's one thing we're 100% aligned in. We, as a fan base, as far as I'm concerned, in the main, we all want one thing, and that is Glazer out, right? Glazer's out. You will not get that with the deal that Sir Jim has on the table, right? You just simply will not get that. It's factual. You can cook up a fairy tale story in your own mind if you want to. If you want to live in a fairy tale world, I think, oh, do you know what? Yeah, that's going to be a good deal. No, it's not. Absolutely not. It's not happening anyway, but that's a different discussion, right? But let's hypothetically take the scenario of 25% Sir Jim buying Man United, right? He won't control Jack. He's not a
I mean,
major shareholder. The Glazers are still major shareholders. What if they veto him wanting to drive sporting control? What does sporting control mean, boys? Does sporting control involve facilities, training, medical equipment? Um, if it does, that involves investment. Who's going to pay for that? The guy gives
Okay, so
25% money. Hear me out. The guy gives 25% shares. That money does not go into the football club. That's what people don't understand. That money, he's buying shares off the Glazers in that scenario that's described. That's going straight into the Glazers' pocket. It's not reducing the debt. right? And he's not a major shareholder. Every decision he makes around infrastructure, such as stadiums, such as training facilities, can absolutely get vetoed. So it's a false narrative that it's a good deal. It's a poor deal. And back to your question, Harps, if you're SJR in, you can't be Glazer out, because SJR in is not Glazer out.
I'm sorry, just before
Simple as that.
before you go in, I think the other thing that I always hear is as well that we don't know about the Sir Jim Ratcliffe deal. We don't know whether it is 25%, or whether it is 69, whether it's 51. You know, nobody knows. And you know what? In a way, that's a fair shout as well. Okay, but I always go back to, and for the life of me, I can't understand how people forget this. There were two factual statements at the beginning, well, in February, once the bids had gone in, and those two factual statements were: Sir Jim Ratcliffe was obviously a long paragraph of what he wanted to do, but the main thing come out of there was that he wanted controlling stake of Manchester United, and
Yeah,
Sheikh Jassim,
25% don't give him that.
Sheikh Jassim's was 100% of the club. So there's two things there
Can I just
right away.
correct the terminology? It's not was. It's not was. It is. It's is.
Yeah, the statement is
Jassim and
still hasn't
Qatar are
changed.
coming in, boys.
Yeah.
They're coming in, right? Honestly, it's going to be funny to see all these trolls come out at me saying this, right? But they're coming in. Simple as that, boys. It's as
I'm just
simple
counting
as
down the days,
that.
Riz, like I
Qatar have
said.
got Man United. I cannot wait
Riz,
until that day lands, boys.
sorry, I'm gonna ask the question because I've seen it, and in a way, it is a valid question, and I think I want to kind of want to work around this as well. People are saying, well, if there are NDAs being signed,
Mm-hmm.
and how do people? Because I know Abu Saad said the same thing when we was on the space a few weeks back as well. He talked about NDAs and how executives won't know, and people are asking questions. Well, how does Abu Saad know? How do you know? How do you know those things? I mean, before you answer that, I mean, this is my take on things. Yeah, people know people, and the funny thing is, the people are asking these questions who they're quite loudest as well. They've also talked about they know people on this, Sir Jim Ratcliffe side of things, whatever. But I think when we talk about things like that, it's like, with all due respects, Riz, you're insignificant. Abu Saad is insignificant in terms of sources that are going to be out there for a PR. Like, if you are going to use Sky, you're going to use The Athletic or things of that nature. Those journalists are going to double, triple, quadruple check their sources, and they need to before they go through,
But Harps, I got an immediate thing for you, right?
go on.
Fact of the matter is this, right? You talk about journalists. The journalism in the modern age is it's basically it's a pile of dog shit. Basically, that's what today's journalism is. Because the same journalists, they're sports journalists, they're not business journalists first and foremost, right? They ain't gonna know groundbreaking business transaction. This is a business transaction. It's not a football transfer, right? So that's the first red herring right there. I was a footy journalist. Have any Scoobies about it? You want a triple, double, triple, quadruple, quintuple? Check their sources. I'm sure they did that when they said Iraq had weapons of mass destruction. I'm sure they said that when they said that, Palestine are the oppressors. I'm sure they quintuple checked all of that shit, didn't they? Fact of the matter is, journalists are there to tell lies, to create stories. And in the words of Fergie, when he chucked one out, said, your job is to tell the truth. You take the truth, you twist it, you make your own headlines. You do that again, you're out of there. Something to that effect. Remember Fergie's rant in that press conference,
Yeah.
right?
And I think
I'm telling
it
you,
happened
journalists'
recently.
job, go on.
And it happened recently with Everton Haag as well when he banned, was it 3 journalists?
Yeah,
Four,
Four
I think.
journalists, wasn't it?
So was it 4? Was it 4? I think it was 4. Yeah, 3 or 4.
ESPN, Cave,
So look,
Yeah.
look,
Costas, and someone else.
why do you go into whatever job you go into? First and foremost, it's a fundamental principle in life, this, right? And I don't care what anybody says. You want money on the table to feed your family, to pay the bills, and to live a good, decent life, right? That's the fact. You can say, yeah, I love my career and all of this and all of that. And I get that. And there are probably some people like that who give a shit about the money or anything like that. They just love what they're doing. Journalists are not one of those. They have KPIs. They need to make money. They need to, service the lifestyle. These guys are not going to do that by telling you a fireman rescued a kitten from a tree. Yeah, when they tell you that Kurt Zuma did an overhead kick to a kitten across the kitchen, yeah, in top bins, that's gonna sell you stories, mate. Right? That's gonna sell you stories. Journalists' job is to sensationalize, and this, for the sports journalists, I keep saying this, is a story of a lifetime. They are probably never in their lifetime ever going to see the sale of Manchester United ever again. Because when Jassim buys us, I repeat for a third time, when Sheikh Jassim buys us, he ain't selling in our lifetime. The Al Thani family is not selling in our lifetime. So this is a story of your lifetime. You want to milk every aspect of it to get your clicks up, to get your reading of your articles, the readership, volume, the clicks, the shares, the retweets, the reshares, the debates that happen around it, the references they're all going to get, the KPIs that are going to get smashed, the money that's going to come on the table for them, their bonuses, their wages. Let's break it down. Journalism is a career. They told us Iraq had weapons of mass destruction. They told us Palestine are the oppressors. They chat shit. So to come back to yours, they can triple, quadruple check anything. They can suck my land. Yeah, do you know what I'm saying, bro? Because these guys don't know. These guys are not there to tell you the truth. They are there to sensationalize. Because there's very soon, we're going to get to a point where they're going to stop talking about this because it's going to be over. They're going to milk this. They're going to milk the night that when they say 11th hour bid. And by the way, the 11th hour bid isn't Jassim coming in with an 11th hour bid. That's not what I mean when I say 11th hour bid. That's going to be the headline. The bid ain't changed. The bid ain't changed. He ain't coming in with a brand new bid. The bid is what it is. He ain't going to change that bid. I'm telling you now. And he knows the Glazers know, and they knows the Glazers know that he knows they ain't going to get anywhere near the dough that he's giving them. It's as simple as that. It's a poker game. As simple as that. So, yeah, you know what? People, coming back to your other point, Harps, it's important for me to address that. People say you don't know it's 25, 69, 41, 72. We don't. But the
I thought you were going to
topic of
shout hike then.
no, but 25%, 25% is what these so-called journalists that everyone trusts is reporting. Everybody is reporting that, correct? So that's what you would discuss. You don't discuss a hypothetical number no one's talking about. It could be 69%.
Yeah, I think we discussed on the last podcast as well. I think something like the 25% follows a narrative for, especially for the Glazer side of things, that whereby, actually they never really wanted to sell. They just wanted a partner or somebody to inject some money into the club as well, so they still keep control and they can sell their asset.
No, but Harps, this is the bit that we've got to jump on and we've got to educate our listeners. They do want to sell. Oh, okay, let me put it another way. They get what they want. They have no choice. If you look at our finances and you actually understand balance sheets and you understand the debt and you understand when you look at United's figures, yeah, I'm not going to get technical in the figures, but when you look at those, they have no choice. They have to sell because inevitably we will go into administration and they will get jack shit. They have to sell. There is no choice. And a 25% doesn't wash it because that 25% will not change the fact that they have to sell because that's going in their pockets, right? So there is 25%. Let's say it's 1.5 billion. It'll get split. However they get split, based on the shares that they buy from each Glazer, right? But that's straight into the Glazers' pocket. The Glazers still have this gold mine, Manchester United. They let, you know, that 1.5 billion is not going into the football club. So therefore, the debt and everything that is there right now as we speak will still be there when Sir Jim buys it, based on the narrative that we've heard, right? So the club is still desperately needed to be sold. They have to. It's not a fact that, oh, they never really wanted to sell. They don't have a choice. They have to sell it. And you know what? 25% won't do it. It's Qatar. I'm telling you, it's Qatar. Let's just wait and see. We could go around the houses, Harps and boys. You know, we've maintained the same stance, what I have since day one. It's going to be Qatar, right? It's going to be Qatar. I'm not changing that stance one bit. In fact, it's more strengthened than ever before. But that's maybe for another podcast, right? But it's more strengthened than ever before. And the only time we're going to be able to settle this is when the announcement is out. Until then, we're going to be like cats chasing our tails, constantly debating the same thing. It's going to be SJR. No, it's not. It's going to be Jassim. No, it's not. It's going to be that ping pong. So let's wait. Let's wait for it to get announced. 8 Mondays ago. Next year. But let's either way. Let's wait for it to be announced, boys, and then we do our talking. That's when we do our talking.
I think everybody's waiting for that to happen. I think more than anything, let's just re-emphasize kind of what you've talked about, Riz, there, in terms of people and dates. I mean, I know even in our interactions, obviously, I know of late today, people were saying that we've been saying the Fridays. I don't know. I've not heard of it.
I don't recall mentioning a date.
I don't think we've ever. If anybody listens to our podcasts, go on. We've never mentioned a date. Like you just re-emphasized again, Riz, it's Qatar. You're 110%, even more than that, confident it's going to happen. So I think we reiterate that again. But even if we go back to these so-called journalists, even the business journalists, I think Mark Kleiman's his name, from Sky News and Business. Even he'd said next week, back in October, when they kind of announced it, or a week after. Even that never happened as well. So even these trusted sources that people are talking about, they've said it's been done.
Sky are not trusted. They said
Hasn't
Iraq
been
had
done.
weapons of mass destruction. They made us go in and kill 6 million innocent civilians. Yeah, looking for weapons that didn't exist, mate. They triple checked their sources before they posted that, by the way. But
Yeah, so I mean, let's go back to the original question that I'd asked, Afsal Aki. I mean, give me your views on this as well. So, if you are Glazer out, how are we then saying we're happy with the Sir Jim Ratcliffe deal?
All right, I'll go first. To me, you can't be Glazer out and SJR in, for the simple fact that the glaring thing about this bid, I'm going to say bid because you know my thoughts on it, is it's apparently 25%, and that still leaves 75% divided up between the Glazer family and the Class A shareholders. So to me, you being SJR in, and someone actually left a comment about this because Akil said that people who are SJR in, essentially you're quote unquote a Glazer enabler, right? And someone left a comment on the last podcast and he was like, that's wrong. You shouldn't say that. Forgive me, I'm paraphrasing, and I also forgot your name. So again, forgive me. But that's not right. You can't say that. People are just sick and tired of this takeover saga. It's dragged on. It's just getting boring now.
I don't disagree with any of that, actually.
This is the thing. I don't disagree with any of what he said regarding the fact that it's dragged on, it's boring, and people want an end to it. But it's the same for us. It's the same boringness for us. It's the same. We're going through the same thing all the fans are going through.
No, but
the only difference is we get pelters for supporting Qatar.
Can I just add something? You just said, right, whoever this person was, everything he's at 99.9% of everything he said, I agree with. Right, we're all bloody sick and tired of this. But the first part, I don't. You can absolutely say that. If you are, let's look. You've got to have a certain set of data points that you talk around. What's being reported widely on SJR is a 25% purchase.
Yeah.
Right. So that's our data point. You could stretch that data and say, what if it's 69? What if it's 72? What if it's 82? Well, that's not being reported, boys. It's 25. So let's focus there, right? On that 25%, you can absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt, say that if you're SJR in on that deal, you are not a Glazer out at heart, because that does not put the Glazer out. Actually, that makes it a whole bigger shitfest than what's there right now.
I mean, my thing has always been, Riz, people will say you don't know. You don't know what's going to come with Sir Jim Ratcliffe. What deal he's bringing out.
That's the sliced bread phrase.
but the thing is, that's the biggest risk.
But that again, no, but Harps. That's why I said you have to go off a certain set of data points. The data point is widely reported is 25%. So let's focus on that. Nobody knows if a big comet's going to hit us tomorrow out of the blue that no one spotted and wipe us out.
But what people are saying is we don't know. So that's by facts we don't know, and I agree with that. That is 100%. We don't know. It's 25%. Okay, we're just going off these journalists who said we're going off by the journalists that we talked about.
Yeah,
that we said do lie. And
we don't know
like
if Earth is flat, mate.
but
Let's not
I don't know if Earth is flat.
No, but I go back to that statement that I said earlier. I go back to that statement I said earlier, which is a fact. Sheikh Jassim said, I want 100% of the club. And SJR, Sir Jim Ratcliffe, said, I want a controlling stake. So that is facts. So what we're saying is controlling stake could be, we don't know how much of a control he wants. Is it this 25% of the control he wants? Is it just the footballing side of it? So we don't know. And this is what I'm trying to say. So how can you support something? How can you say your Glazer's out? And then on the other hand, you're saying you don't know. Whereas we've always said it, and I've always implored people to go check my tweets back in a few years back when Sir Jim Ratcliffe was first touted as being the guy who's going to take over us. And I remember the 1958 and their banners had Sir Jim Ratcliffe's face on their banners, because we all thought it's going to be Sir Jim Ratcliffe's going to take the whole club. The Glazers are going to be out. And I think even you, Riz, always remember yourself as well on your Twitter handle as well, on your bio, should I say? It was always like, it's not Qatar, it's not Sheikh Jassim, SJR. It's just irrelevant. Who's taking over the club and is going to be the best custodian, but by taking the Glazers out. Do you know what I mean?
I want every single ounce of their stinking odor out of our club. That's all I want. I want the motherfuckers out of there. And the only guy that has openly said that my deal takes them out is Jassim.
Okay, I'm gonna
exactly that.
Ask a question. And I got asked this question on Twitter today, and the question was something along the lines of, well, why hasn't Jassim spoken yet? And my reply was, well, I'll tell you my reply and then I'll get your thoughts on it all. So the question was, why hasn't Jassim spoken yet if, there's this 100% whatever? And the first thing that came into my head was, do you remember when Man City got bought? Sheikh Mansour wasn't on Jonathan Ross talking about it. He wasn't on Alan Carr and doing all these flipping chat shows and doing the rounds talking about it. He just bought the club. The difference is he bought a smaller club that wasn't publicly listed, so it was a lot easier to do.
I've got an even simpler answer to that, honestly.
Go on.
You're bang on. I've got to put this the right way. A lot of people are not cultured. Right?
Just do it. We have Haraami's in it.
Yeah. A lot of people have lived in the bubble of one country their entire life. They don't know how. They assume, so they measure everything. It's human nature, people that haven't traveled. Americans, there's a lot of Americans that are like that. I think a big portion of them don't have passports. So they only know the bubble that they're in, right? Therefore, your measure for everything is against what you know. And you think that a South African, a South American businessman does a deal and operates the way an English businessman does? No. You think a Middle Eastern man operates the way an English man does in the way they do their business? No. Qataris, Middle Eastern, Qataris, Emiratis, Saudis, Kuwaitis, Bahrainis, they do not operate publicly. They do not come and make a public statement. They are very private people. They never come and say, we are interested in this is a latest update. This is a statement we want to do. This is what, that's just not the way you operate. And if you're going to measure why Jassim not done this against only what you know, which is how UK businessmen would do, then there's, I'm lost on you, man.
I think the funny thing is, Reed, what people will say, well, they seem to be
they're not cultured, bro. They're not cultured, man. They measure everything against Salford.
No, but what I was going to say was
Salford, yeah, our kid, right? So you know what? The whole world must work like this. Do you know what I mean? That's how they think, man.
I love how you thought of Salford.
Just dropped it an episode of Coronation Street there as well, man.
Right, yeah. You know what? Yeah, let me just do it. You know what, our kid? Right? This is how it's done. Do you know what I mean? Why is Jassim not got his why he's not jumped on a stage, gripped a mic and that? Do you know what I mean? With a cider in his left hand. And basically told the world what he's doing. No, mate, that's not the way the world works.
You started to sound more and more Bradford, more it goes on.
If anybody ever doubted Riz is from
that's
Manchester,
not how a Middle East.
I think you just dispelled any bloody doubt there with that, Riz. Yeah, I think he's born and bred Manchester. You can hear it. No, but what I was going to say was, Riz, a lot of people will say was, well, Qatar seem to be making a lot of noise for somebody who doesn't speak, but I don't get that. What noise have they made?
Makes no sense.
Because the noise that these people are talking about. Go on.
That's the person that said that is the person that's doing exactly what he's saying, because he's not making sense. He's making noise without making any sense. How can someone that doesn't say anything make noise, dimwit?
Well, they're talking.
Anyway,
well, what they'll say is, well, you seem to be knowing. But I go back to the whole thing. Who the fuck are we? We're insignificant compared to these big rollers. Like what I might say, what you might say, Riz, what Banksy might say, yeah, what Upside might say on a space, and the little bits we hear. That isn't Qatar making noise. Qatar want to make a noise. They will have the official mouthpieces make noise.
What you on about, Harps? They come to my door and give me velvet envelopes, and I've got to read all that shit out.
That's a shandy card, bro. That's a Walima card. If it's in a velvet envelope.
do you get some material with it as well? Yeah, sir.
Damn right, bro. Every time.
Yeah, so it just beyond belief what people are saying. Do you know what I mean?
Can I just try and put a line under this one, boys, from my perspective anyway, and you guys chat about it more, because Banks, I want to hear your thoughts as well, bro. But for me, honestly, if Sir Jim is buying 100% of the Glazers out, if the Glazer family go, I'd be behind him. I would not mind him one little bit, right? Where I have a problem is my guy's trying to keep the Glazers on, right? And then you got the people that argue, oh yeah, but you know what, you'll buy it later. There's no flipping guarantee of that. Absolutely not. That's wishful thinking, right? Well, you got a man that's gonna do this, by the way, but again, let's not get into that. He's gonna buy Man United, 100% outright, get rid of Glazers, and off they're gone. And you know what? We can keep arguing. There's two sides of the fence. There's people that just want to throw mud just because we're saying Qatar, and we've always said it, right? Well, do you know what? Fuck you, whoever you are, right? There's other people that are, Jim in, and there's us, and there's many that are Qatar in, right? But at the end of the day, surely the one thing we all want is the Glazers out. Now, if the purported news on 25%, how can you get behind that? If that is a truth, how can you get behind that? You can't get behind that if you're a Glazer out. So for me, the only time we're going to know is when it's announced. Otherwise, we're just chatting. We're just releasing air from our nostrils and mouths, right? And that's what we're doing on this podcast right now. We're just talking about the Qatar side. Let it get announced. And I promise you that day is going to be such a fucking glorious day. I cannot wait for that day. But when it's announced, it's going to be a beautiful day as far as I'm concerned.
I think we all kind of echo what you've been saying. I mean, go on, Aki. You've been
Yeah.
quiet throughout this podcast so far.
I mean, I'm just enjoying the show.
You're doing on this show what you've been doing on social media.
Yeah, basically, I think today what I wanted to mention on the podcast was I mentioned it on the Twitter as well, and that was Aston Villa. Their owners, the V Sport company, holding company, they got an investment today, which was a minority investment. A US company called Ateros took a minority stake in V Sports, who's a holding company of Villa. And he also said, obviously, V Sport remain 100% committed to control of Villa. Now, Ateros could have easily come in as a minority with sporting control. But the thing is, isn't Jim coming in as a minority, 25%? Like, with sporting control. One thing I don't get is when he came out with 69%, all this talk about director of football, sporting director, and all these manager stuff, none of that came out. All it was 69%. And everyone was like, yeah, Glazers out, Glazers out, Glazers out. They backed Jim and they backed basically Qatar, which was obviously Glazers out. The whole point is when he went back to, was it 31% or something? Was it 51%? 51%. Qatar in, yeah, fine, sweet. Glazers out. I think the 1950 again, they had the Jim's face and stuff like that. I'm not too sure. But when it goes back to 25% with sporting control, everyone's gone quiet. They literally just sporting Jim, all because Qatar's out.
Can
Now,
I just
again,
ask, what does sporting control mean?
It means you can fart in a boardroom and get away with it. That's it.
Fair enough. I mean, what I was getting at, Riz, actually, was so sporting control to me is sort of director of football downwards, scouting, recruitment, all of that. Okay? Sounds pretty simple. But who decides transfer budget? Because surely...
That's what I said earlier on, isn't it? Infrastructure, training facilities, you're bang on right. That transfer budget's another one, right? If sporting control is not financial control, Glazer can turn around and say, sorry, we ain't got that much money. Club's in debt, mate. You know what? What's the sporting control going to do then? Oh, fuck, we ain't got money for transfers.
Yeah,
that's
and
why I'm
our
saying
shares are bigger than your shares.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying 25% makes no fucking sense.
You know what it is, guys? Guys, you know what it is, though? I think the most important thing is Glazers out, which means 100%. And the thing is, I go back to last Friday when I sat in front of MK, Michael Knighton. He goes to me. Yes, he was obviously Surgeon Ratcliffe, who's supportive of it. But the most important thing is Glazers out, which is 100% Glazers out. And like Riz said, every single piece, flesh and blood of Glazers out is 100%. And the one that's backing that 100% out is Sheikh Jassim. And since May, it's been Glazers out, not Glazers out. Since May, it's been Sheikh Jassim anyway. So anyone who's on the fence, you're not on the fence. You're either Surgeon Ratcliffe or you're Sheikh Jassim. Pick a side, choose one, stick with it. And when Sheikh Jassim comes through, then actually, you know what, you'll know who's right and who's wrong.
Yeah, but Aki, why does it have to be who's right and who's wrong? Why have we got to that stage?
You know what it is though, because at first for me it was yes, I want Sheikh Jassim in for the club. He's best for the club. But you know when you get DMs and you get shit come at you every single day. Again, I repeat myself. Riz said to me a few months ago, mute your notification. Just go on Twitter for like an hour or two. That's what I do now. But before that, it was every day. I was constantly getting notifications with abuses, this and this and this. And it's constant. It's constant. And now for me, I want Sheikh Jassim in to come at them. because on Spaces we've been called out, and then you got one guy.
Yeah, but
who's
bro,
basically
who's called us out in Spaces? Let's be honest, a bunch of fucking
yeah.
tattoos, man.
So let's
A
get
bunch
into
of
that. So
tattoos
let's
that
get into that, Riz.
if they
Let's
stood
get
in front
into
of our
that.
face, they'll
So you've
fucking
got one guy.
tremble the pieces of shits, man. Right? Don't worry
Let's
about
get
these
into
mans
that.
on fucking Spaces.
No,
They're tattoos.
Riz. So let's get into
Yeah.
that. So you got one guy who's disappeared, not even jumping on Spaces after all his little rant that he's done about Qatar's out. You have to listen to fucking Sky and bullshit. Then you got one
Ineos
guy
lawyers.
who's literally just saying. Then you got one guy who's saying, "Oh, Graham Potter's basically the best bet for manager under Sir Jim Ratcliffe."
You got one
God
guy that
help
ended.
us.
You got one guy that ended Memphis Depay's career in it by giving him a hug.
Yeah, and then you got another guy who literally just types a reply and then just deactivates. It's like, bro, why do you type a reply and deactivate? Are you a fucking pussy?
It's the guy that's
Do you know what I
got.
mean?
It's got.
Brinks, Nick Speed, isn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, Harps,
Yeah, we
I
all know
think
who
it
Nick
could-
Speed
it-
really is, don't we?
Yeah.
Come on,
So
man.
I think Harps what it is. I think Harps what it is for me is I think now it's come to, even though I know and we know Sheikh Jassim's going to come in for the club, I think it's more I need him to come in for the club, and he will come in for the club just in spite of these lot that come as.
See,
No,
I get that point of view.
You know what? These lot are insignificant, right? These lot are worth less than a piece of dog shit at the bottom of your shoe, mate. Right? They are, because one man's got the guy that ended Memphis Depay's career by giving him a hug. Yeah. He's got like 5 different accounts, hasn't he? Got a bit of a
4 now. He's
Batman fetish
deactivated
going
one
on
of them.
and shit. So I mean, when you've got a guy that literally jumps from one, oh, I'm mates with these lot, to another one, oh, I'm mates with these lot, to another one, oh, I'm mates with these lot, and has 5 different accounts, yeah, with a weird fucking Batman fetish on there, right? How can a guy that's got 5 different accounts be anything but a troll? You know what I mean? That's what he lives for. He's got sad, pathetic lives. Got no girl. Probably never been laid. Probably doesn't know how to wank because fucking he fires shots out, right? So can't satisfy himself, right? He's sad. He's pathetic. He's got no life. He's got fucking parents that don't give him a passport because he's born in a country that doesn't give out passports. So he's fucking no man's land, right?
And then he gets a
gives a
picture
shit
with
about
Memphis
him,
Depay
man?
as well. You've got a picture
Who
with
gives a
Memphis
shit about
Depay as
him?
well, like.
Seriously. And then he's sad and pathetic to go and try and dig out information about me and try and post it all over Twitter. Who gives a shit about this guy? Do you know what I mean? He's a tattoo. He's like a 5'4" tattoo. Yeah, that's what he is, a tattoo. He's got no tattoo either. He's a tattoo. That's what he is.
Riz,
you know what?
You know what I mean? I allow people like that. That's my point, is you allow mans like that because they've got sad, pathetic lives. The only entertainment and satisfaction that they get is by trolling people online, right? They've got no life. So let them be, man. Let them do their own little thing, man. They've got to make up for the lack of knob because they can't even get it in their fist to be able to wank, let alone a girl to be able to satisfy her. Let these men just chill and do their thing. You know what I mean? Don't let that get to you.
You know what though, Riz? I think first and foremost, I think you're absolutely right where you're coming from in terms of how you feel about these people, because like I said, there's people's sad lives out there who've gone out of the way to kind of do this kind of shit. Like, do you know what I mean? It's quite disturbing in a way. Like, do you know what I mean? Irrespective of people think whether you, Banksy, or anybody here has lied to get interactions or whatever. I don't get that part. But okay, even if you have, do you know what I mean? Even if you have lied, surely I don't know, but I obviously can't talk for everybody. I talk for myself. I think I just won't listen to you. Or yeah, you know what? Fair enough. It's entertainment. This is what Twitter or X is like. Do you know what I mean? It's not real life. Going back to what you said, if people are in front of your face, will they say the same things? Like, do you know what I mean? It's easy.
Absolutely not. And those 3
And
we're talking about definitely won't.
look, it's just a crazy look. Again, people, we're talking about Twitter and things like that here as well, and I think people understand why we're talking about this, because we do get some conversations come on our way as well, which are quite weird and wonderful. People that you think you're friends with, they'll turn on you and they'll start saying weird shit, and you're thinking, what the hell? Like, it's like,
Yeah.
Where did that come from? Like, do you know what I mean? It's like,
They'll start coming for you for no reason and all sorts.
Yeah.
and it's just absolutely crazy, and that's the one thing I've found. And you know what? I'm gonna turn it into the players, because it's been a while, obviously, since we've had your kind of your thoughts on the situation where we're at. But we talk about with the Brown Monday, and we get some mad love, and really do appreciate it, especially Aki and Absal. I know you boys are quite active on the Discord as well. Some great, people in there, and it's just brilliant to see. And even on our DMs and people outwardly, support us. So I'll thank you for that as well. But you can understand where players, when they're getting so much abuse for their performances, rightly or wrongly, okay, let's clear that. It's a crazy place to be, man.
Yeah, it is.
Would you
But
not
you
agree?
got 100%. I do. But that's down to an individual and the advice around him of how to manage that, right? And how to manage, like how I said to Banksy, what I've done, go into my settings, found the Twitter app, gone into notifications, switched it off. Don't keep pinging my phone during the day. And
I think
think
Riz
he's
is also
dropped
switched
out.
his phone off as well,
Yeah.
man. Like, do you know what I mean?
I think he's just switched his phone. Oh, he's
Yeah.
back. He's back.
He's back. Riz, you're back.
Oh, there. What was the last thing you heard? Because I'm banging on like you could hear me.
I think you
You
talked
were
about
switching
switching
off
your
notifications.
and your phone switched
Yeah.
off as well, right away, straight away, as the old magic. Yeah, go on.
No. What I'm saying is basically you've got go in, switch off your notifications, go in whenever you want to go in. So I went in today, 203 or 204, something like that. Notifications, swiped it down, looked at the last few, off I go with my day. There's probably like 100 hates in there. Didn't see them. Don't care. You know what I mean? But I do get your point around the players. They do get a lot of abuse. Yeah. But this is no excuse for abuse. What the players have got to do is show some. I feel like a broken record. I said this back in August, end of August, beginning of September time, boys. Our players are just not showing the fight. And I feel they have down tools. A lot of the major players, they've downed tools. And you know what? I'm beyond getting angry with them now. I used to be living with it. I'm beyond getting angry. I just expect a shit result every week. That's where I'm at. And we're lucky to be where we are in the league right now. We're still within touching distance of top 4. But I'm done with them. And as you look, until the Glazers go and the new owner comes in, like you and Afsal have been saying, that essentially brings the right structure to the club, that backs the manager to say, right, a little bit like what happened with, Stan Kroenke. I'm not saying his surname right, but at Arsenal, yeah.
Stan Kroenke.
His son
Kroenke.
took over, didn't he? His son took over.
Josh Kroenke.
Yeah. He basically gave Arteta free reins. Remember Aubameyang and how many other players, Ozil and how many other players, they just said, right, here's the rest of the money for your contract. Off you go.
Riz, with Edu. I think people forget that.
With
Edu
yeah.
being quite important as well.
No, that's my point. He brought the right structure.
Just to go a level above that as well.
So
don't forget, Usmanov and everyone used to be involved in Arsenal as well. So there used to be a lot of tension.
There used to be a lot of chefs there.
Yeah, they used. But my point is that they structured in a way, and they backed the manager in a way that, listen, you don't want this player. Right, he's got 3 years left on his contract. Do you know what? We'll buy him out. Off he goes. Off you go, mate. Do one. You're not part of this. Someone that's got the balls to back the manager with the right structure around him, because the fact of the matter is, these players, in the large majority, do not give a shit. They do not give a shit about this football club. They do not know what it means to represent that crest on your chest. They do not know enough about the history of this football club. And I bet you there's many players there that don't even know about our history around Munich. Our Munich disaster. How was it built? How, Matt Busby fought for all of English football to allow English clubs to participate in European competitions. You know the fight he had with AFA back then? The very fabric and history and story that this club is built upon, these players haven't a Scooby, because that's what you represent when you get onto that pitch. They are just, I've given up. I've given up on them, and it's not going to fix it. It's not going to fix at all.
Yeah, I think Ridge, you're 100% right. Like I said, I go back to I just don't know in terms of the players because what I've been hearing, I think who was it? I think Jamie Carragher had mentioned it, I think as well, and it's talking about the local players should do more, so the likes of Marcus Rashford, and I hear it on places people saying, "Oh, play the youngsters, they know what it means, what it means to play for the club, get rid of the likes of Marcus Rashford and McTominay." They've grew up within the academy. You're talking about throwing the likes of Kobe Mainu in, Garnacho, Dangor, a couple of others as well. They know what it means to be Manchester United players. They'll show. I'm thinking, mate, that was the same thing that was said about Marcus Rashford and McTominay a few years back, and now
Just to
you're
add to
saying
that,
they don't know.
Do you know what? Though? I think it gets to a point. Here's my logic to play players, youngsters, because I say this as well personally, right? And I've said that in this week's team predicted lineup. I gave him a couple of lineups, yeah. But here's my point. I think the youngsters will work their asses off to claim a space in the first team. Not because necessarily they know more about the football club because they come from the academy. That's not my logic. My logic is the youngsters are given a chance to play for Man United first team. They'll work their asses off to try and cement that spot as their own. And we'll get a little bit of a good run, a bit of a fight. Because look, I can take a defeat. I don't mind a defeat as long as the fight has been there.
But
Do you get what I mean?
Wouldn't you say the same? What excuse me, McTominay and Rashford used to do when they came in first? Did they not do that?
Yeah, and somewhere along the way, the lack of structure allowed them to get too big for their boots. You're right. I would say that. You bang on, Pops. I definitely would say that. But here's what I'm saying is right now in the sort of short term, if I can call it that, if you put these players in now in the short term, I think we'll see the fight. That's what we will. Oh, that's what we really ask for. I think we see the fight because they're going to be fighting to get in, and we hope in that interim, the drama of the takeover, Jassim's finally over, then we can do proper shit then. Until then,
110% agree. Like you said, it's that fight, but like you said, you've kind of given up, and I gave up. I think right after the Spurs game, I just knew straight away nothing's going to change. I don't even know what players we're linked with. I don't really care who's going out because the question I'll ask you boys as well, and I'll ask all of you, post Fergie, who's been successful at our club? And I'm
as a
talking
player,
about players and coaches, chefs, if we know who they are as well. Anybody.
I mean, apparently we know the head of security.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's a hard one. It's a hard one because for me,
what are we defining as success?
Well,
I'm sorry. If you can define me, tell me anything positive on an individual basis.
Okay.
I'll tell you what I define as success, as a measure of success.
Okay.
The fans being happy and united because you can see the team going places, right? They can see a long-term plan. They can see a development happening.
Well, the question is, though, Riz, have the fans been happy, though? Because we've been...
of course not. How can we be? How can we be happy? How can any of the fans be happy with what we're seeing this season? I think, look, I'll tell you what it was, Harps. Last season, I had the feeling of what I've just described. I thought I saw development coming. You know what I mean?
Same.
And you know what? You had Ten Hag in certain games play a certain style of football. I remember vividly the Barcelona game. Do you remember the Barcelona game at Old Trafford?
Both
Even the
games,
one away.
to be fair, both.
Yeah. That, frankly, we played them off the park in the second half of that game at Old Trafford, right? We played them off the park and you saw the patterns of play coming. Now that development, now imagine you're the manager of Man United, you got them that far. You've gone into the summer, you've waited A, B, C, D, E, 5 players, my owners, I need to take us down to that next level. He's been given his B options right throughout. Do you reckon his number one choice was Højlund as the striker? By the way, I think he wanted Højlund. I think he wanted two strikers, right? And Højlund was the one that was going to learn off the main one and take
Yeah,
over.
he was going to be the backup.
Do you think he got his main striker? Absolutely not. Right. Do you think he got his number one midfielder in Mason Mount? I don't think he did. Perhaps he did. I don't know.
I still think he wanted Declan Rice.
Right. Maybe. But the point I'm trying to get to, you know, when you're doing that transition in the summer, that listen, I'm going to get these players in and these players out. That trickles to the players. Certain players know that, listen, I'm on my way out, right? Because these guys want it. And imagine the owners now, they don't get those players out. And those players are back in this season, right? That transpires, that negativity transpires, and it permutates through the whole season. And that's what we're seeing, in my opinion. And these players, half of them, or a big chunk of them, thought they were gone. And I think Ten Hag maybe would have alluded to that to them, perhaps naively, but perhaps honestly, as a human being, as listen, mate, find yourselves other clubs. Yeah, because there's going to be big changes this summer.
I think that is the word you said there is honesty. And I think he's an honest guy, because you look at Harry Maguire and Scott McTominay probably have been our two standout players, or shown any kind of form at any point of the season. And they're the two ones that are widely looking to leave. So when people talk about man management, I've said this before as well, that's what you call man management. And I don't know whether anybody remembers seeing the picture of Fred a couple of weeks back when we went to play Galatasaray. He come and see the squad and how he was happy and laughing and joking with Ten Hag. Yeah, and with Ten Hag as well. So if he was that bitter, you know, I think because I think you put the question out there, didn't you, today, Afsal? Was
you ruined my tweet.
Sorry, mate. But Banksy was Banksy correct about Fred?
We're gonna miss Fred, yeah.
Fans' favorite, as Banksy says, and you know what? I see a lot of the group chats that I'm in will say we miss Fred. But does this not show?
I don't think we miss Fred. Can I just?
Well, let me just finish this. And
the thing is,
what I was going to say was,
we automatically.
Does it not just show when people leave Manchester United, what happens?
They go on to a happier, better place.
Yeah.
And everything changes.
But you know what it is, though? You know what it is, honestly, boys? For me, people saying we missed Fred, that really irritates me, because that is just you gotta move on. We don't miss Fred. We just didn't replace Fred with the right player. That's the right thing. We don't need to go back to Fred. We need to move on from Fred, right? We just get the right players. So for me, imagine that scenario in the summer, if he was honest to certain players that, listen, you're not in my plans, yeah? Speak to your coach, your agents, and, you know, start finding another club. Then all of a sudden, your owners haven't gone and got your number one choices, and they've not moved on the players that were meant to move on, right? They ain't going to give it their all. They're going to be toxic in that environment. They're going to pass that toxic vibe on to the next player that would have been happy, right? So the progression as a total team, not just the playing side, but the sporting side, from the directors of sport to the owners, that have to be together and move in unison and be linked to a strategy together, that broke down clearly this summer. And then you've got players back that were told, perhaps, hey, you know what? You guys had to go out and find other clubs. But welcome back, because you know what? We weren't able to move you on, and we weren't able to sign ours. And those players are probably thinking, fuck you, you lot are a bunch of clowns. You know what I mean? I said down tools. They don't give a shit. You don't give a shit about me. You're going to move me on. I don't give a shit about you.
No, fair play to them. At least they're being performing. Let's just, before we do kind of go, so Liverpool, we've not got your take on it, Riz. I think a lot of, well, I was going to say, we did at the Brown Monday put out our predictions that you gave, what the score is going to be, and you said 4-0, and a lot of people replied, you've been very kind.
That's generous.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I am being generous with that. I am. I genuinely think it could be worse, but I think we'll get away with it, and it'll just be 4.
Does Riz know my prediction yet?
No. What was your prediction, man? Don't say 7-1 again,
Um,
please.
My prediction was 1-0 Man United.
Don't want to end
One of us have to be. Do you know what I mean? Somebody's got to be. You know, showing that color red. Do you know what I mean? That
I
passion that
had
both of you
valid
wearing red.
justification though.
You know what? Nothing would. Nothing could please me more than that. I wish that did happen. I'm just being realistic. I think we're gonna get steamrolled, boys. And that's why. You know what? That is why the following players shouldn't be playing. You know, you should not have your Rashford in this game. This kid should. He's not a kid anymore. This guy should not be playing in this game at all, because you've seen his attitude. This guy does not work hard. Come on, let's be honest. This guy does not work hard. He does not track back. Yeah. The last thing you want to do is play him against Liverpool. If I see his name on that team sheet, I ain't even watching that game. Fuck it, I'm turning it off. I'm going to watch camel racing instead. Might see Jassim in the crowd.
I think you know what, Riz, I might join you, man. Send me the links. Yeah. I just want to end on this. Again, look, everybody knows what our podcast is about, and again, the Discord's been a great place to interact with a lot of the people that who support Manchester United, and I think it would be unfair for us not to touch on this before we leave. One of the peeps, Whole Phoenix, on the Discord as well. They were talking about what they find weird. They feel that you can't have an opinion about Manchester United if you're not from Manchester or you don't attend the games. And I think this is very important. What Whole Phoenix says here is United didn't become the biggest club in the world by just being about Manchester alone. Some people need some education about the global fellowship Man United enjoys. We've got fans around the world who stay up late hours due to time difference to catch up in the game, sleep deprived because of the love of the club. It's an insult for fans to act classist and segregate themselves from those that aren't based in Manchester or the UK. And you know what? They are the absolute fabric of what we are. And I think yourself, Riz, you're quite well traveled, especially around the Middle East as well. And we've had a number of people who've, attended, come onto the podcast as well. What would you say? Do you echo
Again,
those sentiments, or? And you're from Manchester
100%,
as well,
man.
and you've been going to games, so.
Yeah. So I'll tell you what. It is for me. What the people that say that to these fans, they're the ones that ain't the real fans, and they're the ones that have been living with their heads shoved up their own asses, if I'm being honest, right? Because the very reason we are one of the biggest football clubs in the world isn't because of the fans we've got in Manchester. It's because of the fans we've got around the world, right? Man City have got fans in Manchester, yeah? Well, they have to
Stockport
give buy one, get one free and key 103, but that's
and
another
get
thing.
and
But
get
they've got, yeah.
influencers, yeah.
But they ain't got, before they were bought, they have started to now, but before they bought, they don't have fans around the world. Manchester United's success historically has been down to the power we've had to be able to outspend everyone in terms of investing. This is pre-Glazer I'm talking, yeah? In terms of being able to invest in our academies, invest in the best talent around, bring through that class of 92 at the time when they came through, yeah? Invest in literally the best players around the world at the time. We went and got Ruud van Nistelrooy, Jaap Stam, because we had the financial power, and we didn't just get that financial power from the UK. A large chunk of our money comes from abroad, right? That's why we're one of the biggest football clubs in the world. And why does it come from abroad? Because we've got fans abroad. So they are one of the most important, if not more important, than those Manchester fans in terms of the global success of what we are as a football club. So I'm 100% with each and every single one of them. You are just as much a fan of anyone else.
Yeah, 100%. Like it says, people need to get educated that don't understand this. Like it says, people who are attending the games. I think people are also going. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is going to fly out to India soon as well. I know he was meant to be going this month, I think he was, but he got cancelled. So he'll be going next year, just to go show the powerful fan base that we have in India, and we've also mentioned before, haven't we? Also, even our listeners, the second population does come from India as well.
Yeah.
So it's
So
a,
shout
you
out
know,
people in India, man.
it's a massive region, but like I said, everywhere across the globe. Aki, I know you just got a comment just before we leave.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to mention just on the Discord as well. We had an anonymous donation to the foundation. So that donation is going to go into obviously the the tickets that we're going to be giving out, the giveaways that we're going to do for the fans. Like we all said, the story is represent the unrepresented. So that's basically. I just wanted to thank the anonymous donator who basically made the donation.
Yeah, 100%.
Can
You
I
know
add
what? Like,
one thing?
go on.
On the back of that, just in the Discord as well, I will keep this person anonymous, just for their own sort of privacy. And me and Banksy threw it out there earlier today. Look, anyone in this Discord server who wants to come on the podcast, you are 100% more than welcome. DM one of us, let's get it arranged. And this one individual mentioned that during COVID and that sort of few years, he developed a lot of social anxiety and stuff. And I just want to say, look, all of our DMs are open. That Discord server is full of a lovely bunch of guys. You know, it's a family. Anyone ever wants to chat, look, don't feel that I can't say certain things. We're all here for you, regardless of where you are, who you are, and where you're from. I just wanted to add that and just show a bit of support to that individual as well.
100%, absolutely. And like I said, we go on places like Twitter and even on our YouTube and comments and see that, and you see a lot of negativity. But I must say, going back to what Aki said as well, that there are still individuals out there who believe in humanity and what we're trying to achieve as well. So look, man, however bad we say the world is, there are so many good people out there. So like you just mentioned as well there, Afsal, look, we're here. Forget, like I said, right from the outset of the show, we talked about football is one thing. United kind of brings us together, but sometimes it's more than that as well. Football puts aside, we're human beings. So look, if you ever need to get in touch with any of us, want to talk about anything, can be football related, doesn't have to be football related, just get in touch, and we're more than happy to speak. But on that note, like I said,
Do you know what,
thank you.
boys? I mean,
Go on.
do you know what? Just echoing the boys, you know what? Thank you to the person who did an anonymous donation in the Discord. But one thing I just want to put out there, one dream that we all had between the four of us, is we would love to be in a position at one point to be able to offer one of the fans that can only dream of coming to Manchester, coming to the stadium, enjoying a match day. We want to be getting to a point where we want to be able to try to get such giveaways going. Can't promise it's going to happen for sure, yeah, but that's our dream, man. That's what we want to achieve. That's our mission. That's our objective, to try to be able to get somebody from South America that perhaps, himself or herself is struggling to just put food on the table for their family. We want to be able to, either help you come out and get a bit of a release, get to experience Old Trafford, right? Because it goes back to the last point we were saying, you're just as important, if not more, to the fan base than some of the so-called local lads.
100%. Like I said, that's what this foundation is about. So again, thank you for all your support, and as we always say, Glazers out, for sale only.